over 38,000 Palestinians have been killed, over 14,000 of them children, most of Gaza razed to the ground, its medical system destroyed, much of it completely uninhabitable. Gaza is now a different colour and texture when looked at from space. Now, you might think those who have supported and cheered on this grave crime would be the ones with serious questions to answer, being attacked, scrutinised, driven from public life. Not so. No, in fact, it's the people who've opposed this crime who have themselves come under attack, and there's been far too few with a public platform. There are exceptions. One of them is speaking to me now, the brilliant Charlotte Church, a hugely accomplished and beloved singer, and one of the all too few musicians, let's just say it, using their platform to speak out against the horror being unleashed against the people of Gaza. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Owen. How am I? I'm a little bit I'm a little bit wounded, I think, in terms of I'm not used to this sort of press intrusion anymore. Like I sort of took myself out, and I knew it was coming. I knew it would have been coming for speaking up about what's happening in Palestine. But it's still quite it's just not nice. Like, I deeply care about humanity, and I hate the idea that there are lots of people who genuinely think that I am anti-Semitic. Yeah.
We'll go on, because I'll ask about the concert, because you released a statement in January saying, I have my heart broken every day watching videos from Palestine and in tears daily. I keep bearing witness as it fuels me to keep doing all I can, pushes me to do more, to organize, resist, oppose, fight like a lioness for their liberation. Please, please, to those who are silent, not taking part in any activism, please join us. Better late than never. We need you now to be brave. And you have been brave. Well, I'll ask you about that. Tell me about the concert.
So I did a call out a couple of months ago, maybe. I just wanted to use what I know is an incredibly powerful tool of togetherness and transformation and emotion, which is singing. So I called together a choir so that we could have a big sing for Gaza. And lots of people responded. So we had a choir of maybe about 100, 120 people. And we had a couple of rehearsals. I did it in conjunction with a wonderful Welsh choir called Cor Cochion, which means the Red Choir. They have been singing for liberation for decades. They started in the 80s. And so I did it in conjunction with them, and me and Cor Cochion worked with this bigger group, with this bigger choir, to sing these amazing songs of liberation. Songs from South Africa, Arabic songs, Welsh songs, songs that some of these women some of these people in Cor Cochion have been singing for decades. Songs in Welsh about the Palestinian struggle, like absolutely glorious. And then also we improvised some songs. I sang Rafat Al-Aria's poem, If I Must Die, over the choir. I mean, it was so deeply moving. It was in Bedwas Workman's Hall in the Valleys, which has got a great long lineage of activism and solidarity. It was built by the miners, and it was amazing. It was an intergenerational choir, all different faiths. Like, it was so beautiful. It was such a beautiful event. And yeah, so we will be releasing videos and stuff from it over the next couple of weeks, but we were taking our time and making it beautiful. But obviously, like, the press have gone pretty extreme on we also improvised From the River to the Sea, Palestine Will Be Free, the chant that's been sung a lot, or chanted a lot, in this country, all over the world. I suppose trying to turn what was actually a very humble, beautiful longing, you know, a cry, a beautiful song of freedom for Palestine and oppressed peoples all over the world, and trying to sort of twist it and make it into something that is toxic and terrible, which feels terrible. You know, it doesn't feel great, but so
yeah. By which we mean, so I suppose just to unpack, those who support Israel's onslaught against Gaza, though those, you know, obviously we live in a country where politicians of both Labour and the Conservatives, most media outlets have supported or justified, rationalised what's happened. So those are the sorts of people you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, you know, I think for a lot of us, it just feels so almost out of body, so bizarre that to be calling for an end to this slaughter of civilians, of children, we are in some way terrible humans or anti-Semitic for suggesting that a ceasefire is a good idea. So it feels like a really mirrored world currently. There's something so like, I don't know, like I can't really make head nor tail of it, to be honest, in a way. And so
with that chant, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which has been zoned in and focused on a lot over the last few months of horror. What's your understanding? What does that phrase mean to you? And how would you, when people say that's anti-Semitic, people say genocidal, what's your response in terms of what it actually means to you?
What it means to me, and the way that I always hear it sang or chanted in any of the protests or any of the events that I'm a part of, is that it's always about calling for equality. It's about Palestinians having freedom, having the same rights as everybody else who is inhabiting Palestine, essentially being allowed the same rights. That there should, it's just a call for equality, essentially, for all inhabitants of Palestine and Israel. And there should be, I just don't understand why there would be, or why people will interpret it in any sort of different way. I just haven't at all ever interpreted it as having any sort of genocidal intent towards Israelis, or that was ever encompassed in that sentiment. It's just never been my understanding of how that phrase has ever been used.
How do you feel being in the middle of a storm about that phrase when, for example, in the founding charter of Likud, the ruling party of Israel, it talks about one state, Israel, between the river and the sea? The Israeli ambassador to the United Kingdom, Zipi Hotiveli, has also said one state between the river and the sea. And what they mean in practice is one state where the Palestinians, obviously of the West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem, will have no equal rights at all by definition. So that is just apartheid. So we know what that means in practice, but you don't get a firestorm about that. But if you, and you just explain what you mean, equal rights, whether people are Palestinian, Israeli, the basis of equality and justice, but you're in the middle of a firestorm, even though the people actually in charge of Israel and sending their ambassadors to Britain use the phrase to mean what can only be interpreted as apartheid.
Yes. Yeah. This is what I mean by it. There's so much going on, which just feels so mirrored almost. So I mean, all I'm trying to do as a human being is to create more unity, create healing through what I know, which is, you know, singing and community building, and understanding, really, and calling and really trying, like really just like diligently trying to help everybody to understand that a liberation for all it's utopian. It's utopian. It's possible. It isn't threatening. It doesn't mean that, you know, this person or this group of people are going to be any worse off. Like for some of us to be free and some of us to not be free, or for some of us to be oppressed, it really, in a more deeply spiritual sense, you know, we are all interconnected, really. And so a crime against one is a crime against all. So really, like the to not trying to get too sort of deeply philosophical on it, but the liberation of all really means that the liberation of all, like truly we aren't free in the UK. People who are living in Israel with what is happening currently, with what their extremist government is enacting in Gaza, they aren't free. Like, until everybody on earth can enjoy very basic human rights, it deeply affects the whole of us. We really are an interconnected ecosystem. And so I feel so passionate about trying to do my bit to help people understand that this isn't something that is trying to be oppositional, even in a way. It's about unity, and it's about understanding that a crime against one is a crime against all. Like, it's self-harm. What's happening? Like, it's what we're doing, and what the IDF are doing. It's self-harm for all humans on earth, because we are all deeply connected. Not to get too philosophical.
I mean, what you're making there is a statement in support of humanity and common shared humanity, and how humanity is corrupted by oppression. And I've got just a couple of final things. I mean, you know, it was interesting, the piece that what you tweeted out, I thought was very diplomatic. You said, please, for those who are silent, not taking part in activism, please join us. Better now than ever. We need you now. Be brave. That was over a month ago you wrote that. Yeah. A lot more people have been killed since then. Israel is on trial for alleged genocide at the highest court on earth.
Yeah.
I can't help but feel a little bit angry about it, if I'm honest, Charlotte, about people who have a public platform, who know what's happening is horrific. There's people like yourself. I've seen Paloma Faith, brilliant, wonderful musician, speaking out as well. There is a history of, obviously, musicians speaking out. You mentioned South Africa against apartheid. Paul Robeson, the great left-wing African-American singer who came to Wales and sang with the miners. Yeah. Great histories there, but there's not that many of you. And I kind of feel a bit like, what the hell's going on there? Why aren't people speaking out? Are they basically just scared? And I suppose they can see the punishment beating you've just been dealt, so maybe is that part of it?
I think so. I think that people are feel like there's too much to lose. You know, they feel like, for whatever that might be, it might be good favor, it might be money, it might be influence, whatever it is. I think people feel that there's too much to lose, that it's just, you know, it's just too much of a hot potato, I suppose. But it isn't. It is literally the spiritual quest of our times. Like, I cannot think of something nothing has affected me more in terms of anything that I've seen in my sort of life as an activist, but also just as a human being on earth. There is something that is so it feels like a hinge point in time more than anything that I've ever experienced. And so I feel the same way as you, Owen. I feel frustrated that there aren't more people speaking out, that there aren't more people with more influence, with more power, with more of a platform. And, you know, and I understand that there's this differentiation here. People are doing their activism in different ways. For some people, it's deep prayer. For some people, it's getting out on those streets. For some people, it's like really being as politically savvy as they possibly can to try and affect the outcome. For me, it's as much as I can possibly do. Like, every day I'm thinking to myself, what can I do today? What can I do that's more? What ideas do I have? What time can I give to Gaza this week? And how can I be most effective? How, you know, and I suppose being reflective in that process as well. Like, am I creating more division? Like, how can I be, I suppose, the most effective and ergonomic, but also understand that this is complex and there is deep healing that needs to be a part of this whole process. And so, yes, I'm frustrated with other people not speaking out. for me personally, sure, it's a risk. Sure, being in this position today is not comfortable. I hate the idea of people thinking that I'm anti-Semitic. I am deeply invested in all humans, you know, every creed, color, you know, sexuality, gender, all of it. And however, what I also do deeply understand is that this is deeply political, and the powers that be have a lot to lose at this moment in time. And so I know I'm on the right track, you know.
And just finally on that, just in terms of, you know, we're talking about basically the world turned upside down, where you can be someone with a public platform in, you know, politics, the media, who supports what is a horrific slaughter, where you have Israeli leaders, army officers, etc., saying overtly genocidal things, Israeli soldiers just posting war crimes on TikTok for comic amusement. Yeah. The people who don't speak out about that will try and jump on you for saying something which you perfectly have explained you mean as equality for all, whether that be people who are Israeli or Palestinian in historic Palestine. I mean, just because what it does is it shifts. It's a way of deflecting from those people the actual horror that people of Palestine are suffering, isn't it? It becomes instead, they're like, no, we're not the real extremists, even though we support this horrific carnage which killed over 14,000 children. The real extremists are the musician, Charlotte Church, for doing a peace concert in which she calls for equal civil rights for everybody.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a classic look over there, isn't it? It's a complete distraction tactic. And so all we can do against that is just as lovingly and as open-heartedly, diligently keep working, diligently keep, you know, open with an open heart and an open mind, with trying our best. Well, this is at least for me, to not be divisive or oppositional, to work towards liberation. And yeah, it's quite topsy-turvy right now, but I will never ever stop. And I did for a while as an activist. I did get a little bit scared into, or beat into submission somewhat, because it was difficult, and also I had a baby and life moved in a different way, and so, and I just started sort of saying, I'm just going to do grassroots things, because I set up a free-to-attend democratic school. I set up an amazing retreat center, healing retreat center. And so that was sort of like, I'm going to actually make something grassroots where I'm building community. But Gaza has absolutely like completely taken my heart, and I will literally never ever stop again in terms of just raising my voice, doing whatever I can to, until the people of Palestine can live in their own country without oppression and apartheid. And I will do everything in my power to keep calling for a ceasefire, for what can only be described as a hell on earth that these poor people, and specifically children, are having to live through. And afterwards, when the war is over, which it will be, then as many of us thinkers and designers and, you know, the most brilliant minds in the world, we need to come together to rebuild a heaven on earth for those people who have experienced a hell on earth, and create a utopia, you know, and that is what I'm holding, like, right at the center of everything that I'm doing. When I feel completely deflated, when I feel absolutely brokenhearted as a mother seeing these images that are coming out of Gaza. That is what I hold strong to. I just think the place that will be co-created will, I hope, be the most heavenly utopian place on earth.
Amen. Well, I think your humanity really shines through there, and I'm glad you've made it clear you're not going to give an inch to McCarthyism. It is McCarthyism, and the answer to McCarthyism isn't you give an inch, because the whole point is they're not seeking to act in good faith. They're seeking to crush anyone who speaks out against what is one of the great crimes of our age. So thank you for your courage. I hope other people follow in your steps and realize that you shouldn't be silent or cowed. You should speak out against oppression, whoever is responsible. So do share this video, get the message out, what Charlotte said so beautifully and wonderfully from the heart. Please like, subscribe. But Charlotte, thank you so much and well done.
Thank you so much, Owen. Lovely to speak to you.
You too.